Okay guys, welcome back to episode 3 of our slab stacking game. We're back at it, gonna try and finish this game today. Not in this episode, but while I'm recording this episode, because I need to try and finish it all in one go because we're having some serious issues with this game, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. So we're going to get back into it. Today I think it will be a short episode because we are only going to, what are we going to do? We're going to spawn in the extra bit of the cube that we got rid of so that it looks like our cube just gets sliced in half, or wherever you stop it above the previous cube. And after that we're going to change the color of it, and then also send it down so that it looks like it's just falling off the piece that will stay on top of your previous cube. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get into it and just check that our game is actually running properly. So I didn't actually figure out what was happening in the previous project, but what I did do, so it is working nicely, but what I did do is, in fact, I just started a brand new project again, because clearly something is wrong with this project this game that we're trying to make. It's clearly changing something whenever we close the game and reopen it. So without closing it, I'm going to try and finish the game for you guys so you can see how it works, and then I will just split it up into different pieces and then upload those videos episode by episode. So like you saw there, it is working. The slab is currently getting sliced. A few bits of the code are actually different, so I will show you that now. I haven't really been through the previous project, but I've only got two. That's our plan for today. So far I've only got two scripts, which is our game manager and our moving cube. So I'm just going to put these on screen for now. So this is all that we have in our game manager. All it does is it checks if we are pressing our mouse button, if it is, it calls the stop method in our moving cube class, and then in there it sets the moving speed to 0. It calculates the hangover speed, and then it passes that into our split cube method, where it goes and, well, this is where we need to go and spawn our new cube, because at the moment you can see that if we play the game, it doesn't really split the cube. All it does is it just resizes it into the size that we want. So now, instead of getting rid of that piece that you just saw got disappeared off the scene, we are going to go and instantiate a cube or a slab into that space of the size that we just got rid of, and then we will make it fall down out of the scene. So that is what we're going to do today. I don't really know how it's going to go, but let's get into it. So the first things first, let's go and look at our plan. So what we need to do is we need to make a new edge for our new cube. Then we need to calculate the position of it, where we need to go and put it, and then we're obviously going to go and spawn it. But then we also need to change the size or the scale of it. So to do that, let's go and do this first. So in our moving cube class here, I think we are going to do it in our split cube method. So let's see. So what we're going to do, we are going to do it in our split cube. So underneath, where we calculate and change the local scale and the local position of the cube this one that we resized, let's go and create a new cube edge for it. So here we will go and say float. We'll call this cube edge. What was a cube edge? And this is going to be equal to the transform.position.z, and then we will say plus the, in brackets, new z size, and then that's going to be divided by 2f. So that should give us our cube edge. We forgot the colon, so there we go. And then we need another float, and this is going to be the size, the position of our block that we're going to send falling out of the scene. So this we will call, what do we call this? Let's call this falling block, or should we say falling slab? Let's keep it slab because our our game is based on slabs, moving slabs, and it's kind of called slab stacker, so we'll keep it slab. So falling slab Z position, so that is going to calculate or figure out where we need to go and create our new slab that we're going to instantiate into the scene later on. So let's go and say this is going to be equal to our cube edge plus the falling block size, and then I think all we have to do is divide that by 2f, and then that is pretty much it. So let's go and save that. So now that we've got those, we need to go and actually place a block into the scene. So to do that, we have to say we have to create a cube. So let's go and create a var cube, or let's just say slab. A slab is going to be equal to the game object dot, I think it's create primitive. So this is just going to create a new cube in the same way that if we were in our hierarchy here and we went to we right clicked and then went to 3D object and press on cube, that's going to do the same thing as this here, game object dot create primitive in our code. So create primitive, and then I think it's primitive type dot cube because we want a cube. And then what do we want? What else do we want? We want to say, that's pretty much, let's just close it off and do that. So let's go and save that. And let's just go and see if we have any errors. I don't think this is going to do what we want it to do, mainly because we haven't set the position of it. So here is our moving cube, our start cube, and here's the cube that is instantiated. So there it is working, but now we need to go and change the size of it. And then we obviously need to go and put it in the correct place. So to do that, let's go and say slab. We need to change the local scale. So transform dot local, not that, local scale it needs to be. Dot local, let's try that again. Dot local scale. Can't type today, which is weird. And this is going to be equal to a new vector 3. So in here we want to, we don't want to change the x-axis, we don't want to change the y. I think we only need to change the z because actually we might need to change the, no, we won't need to change the y because it's always going to be the same height. We won't have to change the x because it's always going to be the width, but we need to change the y because it's going to slice off a little piece of the slab, and then we want to go, because we've got the new size of it, which is somewhere over here, we are going to go and set that. So this is going to be a transform dot local scale dot x, the same for our y, transform dot local scale dot y, and then because we want to change the size of the local scale in the z-axis here, we need to go and say what is it called? It's going to be our falling block size. So this we will add in here, if I can spell correctly. There we go, falling block size, and then we'll close it off like that. So that's going to handle our scale. So let's go and see if that works. We still need to handle the what's called the position. So here is our cube, and okay, let's just do that again with a bigger size. So we'll stop it there. Okay, so that's okay. So you can see it is kind of working. So this needs to be up here, but it also needs to be placed somewhere over there. So that's what we're going to go and work on now. And then we also need to change the color so that it looks the same as the previous one. And then after that we can go ahead and make it fall. So we've got this falling slab Z position here, so that we need to go and use that to reassign its position. So instead of saying transform.localScale, we can go and say slab.transform.position is going to be equal to another new vector 3. And then I think the same thing, we need to keep our transform dot position dot z dot x the same. The next one is our y, so we don't want to change the, actually do we want to change the y? I don't think so. Let's go and say no, we don't, because it needs to be on the same what's called this at the same level, so that it looks like it's just falling directly off of our current slab. So we'll go and set it to the same one as the same, what am I trying to say? We're going to go and set it to the same y value as our current slab. So that's going to be transform.position.y. And then the z-axis is the only one that we want to go and change. So we'll say falling slab z position, just like that. So we'll sign that off with a colon, save it, and then jump back into the editor and see if that works. So let's go and play the game, and now we should see that, okay, so kind of working, but not kind of, not really. So let's do it and see if it works on the other side. So it works on this side, but now we need to figure out how to do it so that when we stop it on this side, it doesn't appear on the right hand side here, but it appears on this side. So let's go and do that. So to do that, we only need to do one thing. So let's go up here and calculate where we want to go and do this. So let's go and say this is going to determine if it needs to spawn on the right hand. I don't know if it's the right hand, but like in the front of it or behind it. So if it's behind, I think we're going to use a value of -1, I think. So if we stop, let's move this here. If we stop our cube like here and then slice it over here somewhere, if the hangover is negative, obviously the place where we spawn in the cube that needs to be on the left or behind the current cube will have to be negative. And then if it's on this side, this hangover value, where is it? This hangover value over here is obviously going to be positive. So if the direction is positive, then it needs to obviously be spawned on that side. So let's go and put that back there, and then let's go and do that check. So before we go and split the cube, let's go and check where if our hangover is greater, if our hangover is positive or negative. So let's go and say float direction is going to be equal to our hangover. So now this is where we're going to check. If our hangover is greater than 0, then we want to assign 1f, I think. And then if it's not, i.e. if it's negative, we are going to say -1. So that's going to determine which direction or where it needs to be. So now we need to go and pass this into our split cube method so that we can put instantiate this primitive type of cube here in the correct place. So let's go and say float direction like that, and then we'll go and pass this in by simply saying direction. So we'll save that. So now we need to go and use this so that whenever we go and create the cube edge and the position, we go and times it by the negative or the +1, and that should give us the correct place to spawn it. So let's go in here. After we divide by 2, let's go and times it by our direction, and the same thing over here. Whenever just after we divide by 2, let's go and times it by our direction. So we'll save that, and now hopefully when we play our game here, we should get the the block spawning on the correct side. So it does spawn on the correct size when the value is positive, but that did happen before. So let's go and do it when it spawns it on the negative side. So let's go and stop it before it reaches the cube. So if we do that, so you can see that is working. It's spawning it in the correct place, which is good. So now what we have to do is we need to go, first of all, we need to go and change the color of the new piece that's just been instantiated, which is this one, to match the color of this one. And then we also need to go and make this fall down and disappear off the screen. So let's go and do that quickly. So where do we want to do that? We could just change the color over here, I think. So let's go and do that. Now, let's go and see something quickly first. I know you can't just change the color of it because we have to. We're using a material as the color. So, can we assign moving cube? Can we assign some kind of material to it? What I'm going to do, actually, we've got materials there. So let's go and do this. Actually, let's just go and deal with the falling aspect of the cube. So, because that's quite simple. All you have to do is say slab dot add component and a rigid body 2D. No, not rigid body 2D. Rigid body. I think it's just rigid body. And then I think that's fine. So let's go and do that. So that should add like a weight to it and a gravity scale, so that when we press play and stop the cube, let's see, it should fall. There we go. So it does fall straight off the scene. But the problem with this, with it now, is it's just going to keep falling. So if we click on it, you'll see it's just going to fall endlessly, so which is what we don't want. When it reaches a certain value or a certain place in the scene, we want to go and get rid of it. So let's go and do that quickly. Let's go and add a new empty object. And let's do this. Let's go and delete that. And then I am going to add a new 3D object as a cube. Let's go and reset the position of that. And then let's go and change the scale on the y-axis to be 0.1. And then we'll move it down here. We will change the scale on the x-axis to be 2. And actually, let's go and do it to be 5 by 5. And then we could just make this 0.01, just so that it's very, very thin. And then what we'll do is we'll add a collider onto that, which it already has, so that's good. You can see it's the full box. So now we will go and add a script onto this. So let's go and say destroy. We'll create that script, and then let's go and add a function into that script. Let's move that into our scripts folder, and then let's open that. So that's over here. So now we can get rid of this. And then I think all we have to do is add our on collision enter method. And then let's go and say destroy collision dot game object. So I think that is going to not think, but I know that that's going to destroy the object that collides with it. So anything in the scene that collides with this this panel over here is going to get destroyed. So I don't like the color of white, but I mean, it's not that important, but I'm just going to make another material, and then this we will add black to it, just so that we can't really see it. Actually, let's go and do this, just so that we can see it a little bit. But let's go play the game, and now we'll see if we stop that and that gets that slab falls out of our game. As soon as it hits our slab over here, this massive slab down here, this green one, it gets destroyed, which you can see in our hierarchy. We no longer have the cube that we instantiated in the scene. Instead, we only have our destroying cube, we have our moving cube, which is now stationary, and then we have our original start cube. So that's good. The rest is fine. So let's unpause that, and then go into here. I'm just going to rename this. Instead of cube, this is going to be our destroy cube. So we'll rename that, and then we'll save that, and then we will end this episode over here. So it's good to be back working on this game. For the change of the color of the small instantiated cube into the scene, we will go and do that in the next episode. And then I think we will also start working on adding in the next cube. So whenever you have stopped the cube and the bit of the overhang or the hangover has actually fallen out of the scene, we need to go and instantiate another cube on top of our previous one so that it comes into the scene, and then you can stop it again, and then it's just going to continuously go until there's no cube left. So we will end this episode off here, and that's pretty much it for today. So thank you again for watching. Sorry for the delay in this game. It has been annoying for me as well. But yeah, we're back at it, and I will see you in tomorrow's episode. So enjoy the rest of your day or your evening, wherever it is, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.